keep her and her family in your prayers and thoughts as she's dealing with that father today. So thank you for that. All right, going into our public hearing preview for start with the architectural review board items. State for blocking or something.
Good afternoon. Up first is 512 Pembroke Avenue for installations of pavers in the Verge. This property is located in the Ghent Historic District, and it's contributing the house was built in 1910 and done by architects Ferguson and Peebles. Here's some site photographs of the location where the pavers are proposed to be installed. They'll both be two 12-foot long sections. And here's a drawing of the proposal, and then the order sheet and the proposed paver. The paver measures 4 inches by 8 inches and will be installed 6 inches into the ground. And ARB recommended approval on the vote of 9-0. Any questions on this one? Okay, next one is 3211 Lafayette Boulevard. This is an encroachment for an existing pole sign. So here's some photographs of the existing sign. As part of the site plan review following repaving of the parking lot, there was a dedication of right-of-way that was required for that as part of the application. So the dedication at the intersection of Lafayette Boulevard and Cromwell Road resulted in this existing pole-mounted sign to become encroaching upon public property. So, more angles of the existing sign. The sign's overall height is 16 feet 8 inches and dimensions of 7 feet and 6 inches and 5 feet and 1 inch in width. And ARB recommended approval on a vote of 9-0. Any questions on this one? And then 117 East Princess Anne Road. This is design review for outdoor dining structure. This is located in the State and National Historic District, Norfolk Auto Row. It is contributing and was constructed in 1946. And the applicant's proposing to install a new outdoor dining area. As the outdoor dining area was approved under a conditional use permit by City Planning Commission in November of 2023, and then so this is coming back as part of the encroachment process. The dining structure will measure 17 feet in length and will be 7 feet and 5/8 inches wide, and the outdoor structure will be 10 feet tall and framed with 6x6 pressure-treated ground contact wood posts. Here's the floor plan. And then the location of the outdoor dining structure on the survey. And ARB recommended approval on a vote of 9-0. Any questions on that? Then this is for Wisconsin Plaza. This is the relocation of the Armed Forces Monument. So the Veterans Affairs Commission and the City of Norfolk have been looking for a relocation site for the Armed Forces Monument that is located in the Military Circle Mall and plan to move it prior to the demolition. The applicant's proposing to relocate it on this brick promenade at the Wisconsin Plaza. Here's the existing monument. And then here's the proposed location. The monument is 79 inches long, 16 inches wide, and 54 inches tall. There will be a foundation installed beneath the brick pavers, and that will be used to edge at the base of the monument. And here's some renderings. And ARB recommended approval on a vote of 9-0. Any questions on this one?
Coming up, I failed to recognize
Oh, okay.
Mark Bowser.
Good afternoon, Commission. So this final item from the Architectural Review Board is 245 Grace Street. This is for the expanded glass studio associated with the Chrysler Museum. Most of the improvements have already been made to the property itself. What this application is concerned with is the fence that separates the residences on Yarmouth from the parking lot for the glass studio. There is just a little bit of a weirdness here I'll just address. So the area that you see shaded is currently right-of-way, which was dedicated to allow for installation of a utility easement. The intention is for all of that to be returned back to real property. So ultimately, this fence ends up on city property. So that's why it's being presented to you as a design review item. What is being replaced is just a little bit older, and it's going back fairly similar. The applicant, WPA, worked to talk with all of the residents along here to make sure that anybody who wanted a gate was provided a gate for this fence. So it had been communicated throughout the process of trying to finalize the fence design that those residents prefer to have that secondary access out of their property, especially if there's any flooding concerns. So these are just some renderings of where it'll be. It'll be behind the tree line, and it's just a standard flat fence with very nicely designed gates. So the ARB did recommend with a vote of 9-0 to approve this to you all. Any questions?
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. This application is My Mama's Kitchen. They're applying for a conditional use permit at 1872 East Little Creek Road. The site is located on the north side of East Little Creek Road between Hawthorne Drive and Meadow Creek Road. The proposal is to allow a restaurant to sell alcohol beverages for on-premise consumption. The proposed use is consistent with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as commercial. The site is zoned CC, Community Commercial. The applicant is relocating from 7943 Shore Drive, where they operated for 11 years. The applicant did not serve alcohol at his prior location, is proposing to sell alcohol beverages at this new location, and is applying for a conditional use permit to allow the restaurant to sell alcohol beverages on premise. This is the proposed floor plan for the restaurant. I'll go over the capacity in a few slides later. This is the proposed site. The operator, it operated as a daycare for the past 20 years. Prior to that, it operated as a restaurant. The applicant is working on the site. He has been working on the site for some time now. He stated that there will be some site improvements, such as restriping the parking lot. He did provide me with a site plan that shows the striping. And he's currently installing a dumpster enclosure. He did state that he is going to do some landscaping. He's working on it after he opens up the business to create some revenue. Hours of operation, 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Sales of alcohol beverages, 11 a.m. until 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. The occupancy, 88 seats indoors with a total occupancy of 99. The applicant may ask to extend the hours 1 hour at the public hearing, just so you guys are aware. And staff does recommend approval subject to the conditions. I did receive a letter of recommendation from East Little Creek Business Association, and I did receive some phone calls and some emails of concern from the neighbor about an establishment that's not really related to this property, but the property next door. So that's in your box, as well as Granicus.
You said this could be contingent on, and so is it contingent on the striping of the driveway?
No.
And how would that be enforced?
It's part of his site plan, so it'll be in his conditions.
We discussed this a couple weeks ago, that the
do not.
You do not?
No.
Okay. That was part of the reason of even considering the consent agenda, because it was the exact same operations from this location. So if that's not the case, we would move it off. Not right. For me, I'll speak for myself on that. Well, it may happen naturally if somebody shows up on the position. So, okay, we need to decide that. More than likely, if the applicant is asking to, will ask to extend their hours, we'll have to take it off the consent agenda anyway. Just for the commission's concern, if the applicant does request to extend the hours, staff does support the hour extension. So just for the commission's understanding.
Yeah, does support.
Looking to extend it 1 hour past 9 to 10 p.m.
Correct. So we, so 10 p.m. on Monday through Thursday, and then 11 on Friday and Saturday, and then 5 on Sunday.
And again, if we had gotten that request earlier, we would have accommodated it, but when you get it,
2 days.
2 days before the public hearing, at that point, we said, the applicant, please, it's too late at that point for us to change stuff.
Bobby, my question was, would this one be qualified for that?
This property is within an area that is subject to the commercial core grant program. This
He has a plan.
They have a
He has a plan.
Oh, good, okay. That's what you were recommending.
The guy's not gotten it, but he has a plan.
I'll admit I'm very uncomfortable with approving a place that has no landscape. And I understand you guys have all changed those rules, but to me, you're a slippery slope there.
Well, the rationale is that he doesn't own the building, the applicants don't own the building, and so now we're forcing them to put landscaping on property, statewide business, they don't be able to recoup that cost at all, and then it goes back to you not looking good because the owner of the building hasn't shown the interest of putting landscaping, so.
Yeah, I'd like to see a contingent that the owner can't lease the building unless he's upgraded it appropriately.
Maybe discuss that as well, but then like the owner says no, then do we prevent this person from opening their business because.
It also prevents the owner from leasing it, and he needs the money too, so he's gonna have a carrot there that if he needs to have it leased, and if we let him get away with it, he won't put any money into it. I mean, these absent landlords are the problem. I'm sympathetic with the guy that's leasing it, but I don't know, you're going to discover, I feel like we should keep our standards up, and if we don't, everybody else will say, well, you didn't make them do it, why should I make you do it? So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. I understand you guys had talked about that earlier and have decided on which way you wanted to go.
I think we can, per application, look at the specifics of it. This one, he's basically taking the entire property. I think some of the concerns we had were if it were a shopping center and someone had 600 square feet, or landscape for the entire property on that one application.
And that's what we were requiring at that point. But this one, they said he applied for this grant. I would hope that we could at some point expand more on properties such as this where they need some help, for us to really pay some attention to the aesthetics of what these places look like.
Sure. Any other thoughts or questions on that? Sample drop, so I guess you're... No samples. Good afternoon, Commissioners. This site is 155 Granby Street. Insomnia Cookies is applying to operate a restaurant after 12 o'clock midnight. This site is on the west side of Granby Street between West Plume Street and West City Hall Avenue. The proposed use is consistent with Plan Law 2030, designates the site as downtown. Property is zoned downtown business center. It also lies within the coastal resilience overlay and the downtown historic overlay district. In this district and everywhere else in the city, you need a conditional use permit to operate a restaurant with extended hours. Here's the floor plan. You can see that on the left side of the screen is Granby. The left side of the screen is Granby Street. They have some tables and chairs in the front, but they primarily operate as a takeout business or delivery business. They do have some tables and chairs for people who want to sit there. They sell cookies, ice cream, other desserts, and other late-night food, but it's mostly dessert. It's going into the former Which Wich. I know there was a question during the mid-month meeting about the sign. They have gotten their approvals and through ARB and stuff, and design review committee. So they're proposing to be open from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. Sunday through Wednesday, and then 12 o'clock noon until 3 o'clock a.m. Thursday through Saturday. Again, their capacity is very small. They have 13 seats indoors and 12 capacity, only 27. And again, just reiterating, no alcohol, no entertainment. Staff is recommending approval of the application.
Well, any questions? I'm within 100 feet, and I'll be one of their patrons, so I'm going to have to recuse myself from...
I'm sure you'll be there at 3 a.m.
I'll be there.
Know your schedule. Thank you, Rob.
Okay. Is there any history of the other insomnia cookies, like the one up at Old Dominion, and they all done well, without any cost for service?
Good question. We should walk, I'm not aware of any at the moment.
Or is this a franchise?
That I don't know. I can ask the applicant, as soon as we get back to my desk. Very good. Next item on the consent agenda is River Raft Brewing Company. Commission use permit 114 East 25th Street. Site is located on the north side of East 25th Street between Monticello and Granby. It's currently operating as Roof Raft Brewing. We have another new operator that's looking to take over the facility, and they're just proposing to operate in the same manner with live entertainment and the production of craft beverages. This use is consistent with Plan Law for 2030, which designates the site as commercial. Property is zoned CC, community commercial, in this district and everywhere else in the city. We need a conditional use permit for the production of craft beverages and for live entertainment. Here we have a picture of the site. There's an area in the front there that was previously designated for outdoor seating, but it's just standing room. And the new owners, Fermentation Distilling and Brewing Co. They have experience operating in other cities as well. So this is the same floor plan that the previous applicant used. You notice that there's some chairs in the front and the brewing area in the back. So they're proposing to keep the brewing operations at 24 hours a day, but they'd be open to the previous operation was open from 5 o'clock p.m. until 2 o'clock a.m. Monday through Friday, and then 1 o'clock p.m. until 2 o'clock a.m. Saturday, and 10 o'clock a.m. until 2 o'clock a.m. on Sunday. The new applicant's opening earlier, but also closing much earlier, proposing to be open from 10 a.m. until 10 p.m. 7 days a week. The occupancy is staying the same, with a slight change being that in the previous special exception, it was listed as outdoor seating, but there's no outdoor seating in the new establishment. That's not the way the floor plan should have read. And they're keeping the entertainment the same: live band, comedian, karaoke, poetry reading, and game and trivia nights. Now, I will note that with the capacity and entertainment, normally we have a requirement, and it's in their conditions that if they have entertainment and exceed a certain capacity, which I believe is 84 people, they need a security team. They've indicated to us that they don't intend to have more than that if they have entertainment, because they said that if they have entertainment and they have security when they have entertainment, it would erase their profit margin for the night. So they don't intend to have the full 114 people during entertainment, but if they do, there is still a requirement that they meet that condition. Staff is recommending approval. The new operation proposing to close earlier and to replace in the same use. Good afternoon. This is a conditional use permit renewal at 7936 Thompson Road. Location east side of Thompson Road, north of East Little Creek Road in the East Ocean View area. Existing conditions are residential and proposed to allow a duplex to continue operation as a short-term rental. The
proposed use is consistent with Plan for 2030, designates it a single-family suburban. The zoning is RC. In the RC district, a CUP is required for a vacation rental with more than 3 bedrooms. Here's a picture of the property. It is a flag lot, so the rear duplex to the right is the unit. Post-run home will be used for property management, and no violations have been issued since the CUP was issued. The neighbor analysis, within 500 feet, 23% of residential parcels are single-family, and 16% of residential units are single-family. If approved, 3% of residential parcels and 2% of residential units within 500 feet will be short-term rentals. And staff recommends approval, subject to conditions in the staff report, and a 5-year expiration. And these issues specifically, and we did not oppose the application.
All right, on to our continued agenda. Russell, Scott.
The next item is for 1485 Johnson's Road. There's 2 items here. One is on your consent, and the next is the first item of the regular agenda. This applicant's requesting to conditionally rezone this property from institutional to multifamily neighborhood scale and obtain a conditional use permit to continue the operation of the child daycare center after the rezoning. Rezoning is requested in order to facilitate a proposed infill development of townhouse-style condos on the wooded portion of the existing lot. While Plan Law for 2030 future land use designation for the site is institutional, multifamily would be congruent with the multifamily designation on the adjacent properties. The property is currently zoned institutional. As I mentioned, the applicant requests it be conditionally rezoned to multifamily neighborhood scale in order to facilitate the new development of residential condos. The applicant further requests a CUP be granted to permit the child daycare center to continue to operate after rezoning. So here we see the site. As I said, it's currently zoned institutional. This institutional zone does allow child daycare centers by right, but requires a minimum lot size of 1 acre. The applicant proposes to subdivide the lot in order to construct 7 townhouse-style condos on the new lot. Since the subdivision would reduce the size of the lot with the daycare center to less than 1 acre, it would not be able to remain institutional. The MFNS district does allow child daycare centers by CUP. The applicant has modified the signage on the daycare center to avoid being in violation of the zoning ordinance. They've reduced the signage that they've got. They do have a small electronic sign that they have disabled, but it's still there, so we've put a condition that it be removed within 30 days of approval. So here is the proposed layout of the site. The applicant has 3 offered conditions for the rezoning. The first ties the rezoning to the site plan that you see on your screen. The second requires a drainage plan for both sites to be considered together, and the third permits the required landscaping for the proposed western property line of the daycare center site, which is kind of in the middle of that, to be redistributed with an alternative landscape plan. All right, so staff is recommending approval to both, subject to their respective conditions. As a reminder, the primary request here is that conditional rezoning. The conditional use permit is only required if it is conditionally rezoned. Any questions?
Russell, the storm drainage requirement, are they going to be able to share one drain system, or originally we were talking about having each to have its own?
That's up to them through site plan. They're going to have to go through the site plan process. They'll look at both. They'll look at the current singular lot as one unit when they're looking at that. The concern was the wooded lot. We don't know if the drainage is draining to that. We don't want to have them subdivided and build a new thing, and then the drainage doesn't know where to go.
So this one that you just reviewed is the BLW Plus LLC?
Yes. They're both the same. I think the Woodbury is also one of the members of that LLC. So they're the same applicant, essentially.
One's the CUP and one's the rezon. No changes. questions on item this? Thank you.
So next, we've got McDonald's at 1632 East Little Creek Road. This applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to facilitate the expansion of their existing drive-thru and continue operating the drive-thru 24 hours per day. The site is located at the northwest corner of East Little Creek and Meadow Creek Roads in the Bel Air neighborhood. The proposed use is consistent with Plan for 2030, which designates the site as commercial. Property is zoned community commercial. Since this business opened in 1980, prior to the existing regulations, it's considered legally non-conforming for the existing drive-thru and the operating hours. Since they wish to expand the drive-thru, they need to come into conformance with the current zoning requirements, which require that CUP for both drive-thru and the 24-hour operation. Here we see the site. Property has been updated over the years, but the overall layout has remained substantially unchanged. Here is a proposed site plan. As you see, they're adding a second drive-thru lane. They will be enhancing the landscaping in the kind of darker areas that you see around the parking. Based on the Commission's concern at the mid-month about the entrances on the front, you can also see they have redesigned those. So the entrance that is closest to, on the bottom right-hand side, that's closest to the intersection is now going to be a right-in only. And the entrance that is to its left will be an exit right turn only. That should improve traffic flow and reduce conflicts. Staff is recommending approval, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Questions?
Any questions?
Next is for Abel Cortez for a conditional use permit at 1001 and 1003 35th Street. And I got a last-minute email about this one for everybody. I can pass it down. I'll mention at the end of this, but this way everybody can get that. So this applicant is requesting a CUP for a vacation rental in a 3-bedroom, single-family home on the southwest corner of 35th Street and Killam Avenue in the Kensington neighborhood. Short-term rental does not conflict with Plan for 2030, which designates the property as a multi-family corridor. The property is zoned single-family traditional. In SFT, all vacation rentals are required to have a CUP to operate. Here's the site for the proposed short-term rental. The home was built in 1917. It's been owned by the current owner since April 2022. The applicant will be adding some street trees along the Killam Avenue frontage, which is to the left of the fence that you see there. The applicant has indicated the property will be self-managed and he will live within 20 minutes of the property. I will note that this applicant currently lives in this house, and he is currently operating as a legally permitted homestay. We just checked it again this morning. He has a permit. He has satisfied all the requirements, and we can find nothing that he's in violation of. He does plan to stay here as a homestay until and if he is approved for a CUP, at which point he has another place lined up to go. So for the neighborhood analysis, within 500 feet, approximately 59% of residential parcels, 52% of residential units are single family. All inclusive, if this application were approved, approximately 1% of residential parcels and 0.6% of residential units in 500 feet would be short-term rentals. Staff is recommending approval, subject to the conditions in the staff report. So that email that you've got there is on the second to the last page is the original email, and then his daughter has indicated she will be here today to speak against this. She added on the picture and the short section right prior to the picture that starts on the first page. But we received this not long ago, so it is on Granicus and printed out for your convenience. Any questions?
Complaints about their use of it as
The only complaint that they had a violation once as an unpermitted short-term rental, I think last year, the end of last year, and we looked and their, Airbnb shows reviews up until December, and then there's a gap from December until 3 weeks ago, which is when he was permitted to be a homestay. Do you ever have any complaints?
offer service.
said this welcome sign was there, did you guys check that out?
Well, it is a welcome sign that appears to be inside the house. We just got that maybe an hour ago, so there's no way for us to independently verify it, but he does have a permit for it, which he can rent while he is not present on property.
I can clarify. So the applicant meets the requirements for what's called a homestay, which means this is his primary residence, and he can rent it out as a short-term rental. What he's asking for is for this to be, and he has the necessary zoning permit for that. He's asking for this to be a vacation rental, which means it no longer has to be his primary residence, and he will move from the location. And so that is, they are saying that he is operating within a legal construct. He has a zoning permit as a homestay for a short-term rental. But his goal here is to change it to a vacation rental where it is no longer his primary residence, which is what he's applying for today. Question, you said that was permitted how long ago?
The permit was issued within the last month.
Do you know if there is any residents there?
He's got two guest reviews. The first one was 3 weeks ago, and the second one was 1 week ago.
She says that it is an unpermitted short-term rental, that's not correct.
No, he was previously, but he stopped when he received the violation.
Any other questions, comments? Other reviews?
The reviews are all good.
Okay.
He's got a 4.99, I think. He's only one less than 5 certification. Probably 4.7.
Thank you. Thank you, Russell. Do you have any public hearing that is implemented for December, or
I don't know his intent before December, no. I don't know his intent, but he should be here today. You can ask him.
Commission comment at 1338 West Ocean View Avenue, location north side of West Ocean View Avenue between 13th View and 14th View Streets. This is in the Willoughby neighborhood. Existing conditions are residential, and proposals to allow a duplex to operate as a short-term rental unit. Proposed use is consistent plan with the 2030, designated as residential mix. The zoning is RC. In the RC district, a CUP is required to operate a vacation rental with more than 3 bedrooms. Here's a picture of the property. Picture on the left, that is a shared driveway, and they do have an agreement with the rear property owner. The applicant will live in the downstairs unit and will self-manage the property, and for experience, they do have experience with long-term rentals in the other unit. And no violations have been issued to the current owner. The neighbor analysis, within 500 feet, 40% of residential parcels are single-family, and 15% of residential units are single-family. If approved, 7% of residential parcels and 3% of residential units within 500 feet would be short-term rentals. And staff recommends approval, subject conditions of the staff report, 2-year expiration, and the Willoughby Civic League voted to approve the application.
You said they currently live in one unit?
Correct.
And they're going to rent both?
No, they're one of the other unit.
But they will be licensed to approve to do that?
Correct. CUP coverage, yes.
Just want everybody.
And they'll get a zoning permit for one, so if they didn't use the feature, they'd have a zoning permit for that.
Any other questions, thoughts?
All right, I have the next one as well. North Short-Term Rental at 5021 Woolsey Street, location southeast side of Woolsey Street between Azalea Garden Road and Souls Point Road. This is in the Sherwood Forest neighborhood. Existing conditions are residential, and proposals to allow a single-family home to operate as a short-term rental unit. Proposed use is consistent with for 2030, designated as single-family traditional. Zoning is SF10. In the SF10 district, all vacation rentals require a CUP to operate regardless of bedroom count. Here's a picture of the property. Stork short-term rentals will be used for property management and can comply with a 20-minute call-out time. Property meets all requirements, and no violations have been issued. Tornado analysis, within 500 feet, 95% of residential parcels are single-family, and 89% of residential units are single-family. If approved, 1% of residential parcels and 1% of residential units within 500 feet will be short-term rentals. And staff recommends approval, subject to conditions in the staff report with a 2-year expiration.
Any questions on that? Thank you, Andrew.
The applicant is Alessandra Staines. They're applying for a conditional use permit at 1138 Virgilina Avenue. The site is located on the north side of Virgilina Avenue between Work Avenue and unimproved portion of Atlanta Street. The proposal is to allow a duplex to operate as short-term rental units. The proposed use does not conflict with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as single-family traditional. The site is zoned SF10 and 60 BNL. The request is for a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a STR in a duplex. Here is the site for the proposed STR. The site is developed with a 4-bedroom duplex, 2 units with 2 bedrooms in each unit, built in 1966. The applicant has owned the property since August of 2023. The property will be managed by CXB Cleaning Services, LLC, with a 20-minute response time. There were some questions from the commissioners in regards to the LLC. It is owned by Lisa Sampson. She's the manager. She has a cleaning and property management company under the same LLC, and she does have experience with STR management. There was also a question that came up from commissioners in regards to long-term rentals. The property is currently a long-term rental. They do have tenants, but they are vacating in the next few weeks, and he did state that any new tenants would be made aware of the changes of it to a STR. As far as enforcement, for this property, there were no calls for service to police in over the past year, no open zoning or building code violations, no current unauthorized STR rental at this site. Neighborhood analysis, within 500 feet, approximately 69% of the properties are single-family homes and 90% are residential units. If approved, 6% of single-family homes and 2% of residential units would be short-term rentals. Staff recommends approval subject to standard conditions with a 2-year expiration date. The Civic League did send in support. They have no issues with this application. Any other questions?
Thank you, Sharon. All right, on to our new business. We've started dishing them out as we have a lot of incidents, so we've got new people taking them on.
There is not much on this one right now, but the request is to initiate a text amendment to modify the definition of marina to include long and short-term stay houseboats. We do have a request that pushes us towards this request, but we don't have a ton of details at the current moment, but they are requesting to have houseboats at a marina. We want to be able to rent them for different stays, including those less than 30 days.
Can we ask you where that is? You probably shouldn't, so that you assure that you're reviewing the text amendment in its full scope, because it will change the definition for marina, which is allowed in most community commercial zoning districts. You will see eventually a future application from somebody. At this point, I'd rather not say, but to Russell's point on this, and someone has asked previously, we do allow people to stay on boats at marinas. Our understanding is that this is a request that essentially they're similar to barges. There's a barge there, and it's a house on a floating house that they would like to bring in, and that's why we need that. The current regulations and interpretations don't allow for that. You allow people to stay on a boat, not a barge that has a house on it. So we're trying to find a
we'll be voting to initiate this.
Yes, and thank you for that, Mr. Reardon. The key for initiation is it allows us to start the work. We don't want to jump ahead of the planning commission. If you don't want to put this on our work program, we're going to put it aside. We've got plenty of other things to work on. But this allows us to start the work on this, so we can bring it back to you. After I have my cookies, I'll let you live on that vote.
This was presented this month, mid-month by Jeremy. We're here today to ask for initiation, request initiation of the experimental levy use of recreational facility outdoor to the IL Industrial Light District by conditional use permit only. This stems from a request to build a very small athletic field in the Chelsea neighborhood, currently zoned industrial light. What is the use for the zoning ordinance? Commercial establishment provides outdoor facilities for recreation and entertainment-oriented activities, swimming pools, golf courses, batting cages, things like that. Currently allowed by CEP, community commercial, regional commercial, all downtown districts except downtown St. Paul and Lark Way. And it is allowed by right in the open space and preservation districts unless alcohol is served or there's live entertainment. Here's a map of all the IL districts in the city. I do want to point this out. We are in ongoing talks with economic development. They do have some concerns over preserving industrial uses for those districts and possible downstream economic impacts. We're also in talks internally to limit the square footage so lots don't excessively kind of capture that land. So that's all we have now. Any questions?
And just for clarity, this is to initiate the text amendment, but these will be approved on by conditional use permit.
Correct.
And I shared my concern about those being passed on to, change of owners of the property and making sure that we've got some sort of a sunset on those as well, so that there is the ability to, force the reapplication of it at another end to the same thing.
You guys, we don't need to allow me to be industrial light recreation to be included into it.
Conditional use permit. Correct.
And recreation facility indoor is allowed by right in industrial light and industrial general. So point that out.
This is an outdoor.
Yes, outdoor, same, very similar use.
So the intent of this was that we would be utilizing property that might otherwise be used for industrial, and if we could limit the size, it would not be appropriate for any of that development. So that would be part of what we would do for the conditional use then, to limit the size.
So we haven't honed in on exactly where this lands, but we have the same concern as well, so we have different ways to approach it, whether it be provide a maximum size that this could be allowed on. Staff will bring back some options to the commission at the next minimum when the item's ready. I don't think they're going to be at the next minimum, but we'll try. But we'll provide all that information for your analysis.
I think that should be the consideration.
Any other questions on this? Thank you, Andrew. All right, next on the agenda is open discussion. Anything the commissioners want to bring forward is part of what we just heard today, the applications. We need to make a game time call on the consent agenda, I guess whether to pull or do we want to make a change to those now?
That's what you mentioned.
You just can't. We're going to go ahead. We're going to vote on that.
No, so we can just pull it after the resolution.
Anybody opposed to pulling? No. No. Very good. So we'll keep number 2, number 3, and number 4, which is the renewal on the All right, Mr. Tan, Director comments, council action?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Bateman. This past Tuesday, City Council had a number of your items from April all piled onto their agenda. Little Big Room, that we want to have some kind of conversation. So the representative for the applicant for the 5 and the one that is the representative for this item that was on your agenda today is willing to help facilitate this discussion with McDonald's and the city. So that was continued to June 10th, and it should hopefully line up together with this item if the commission approves the McDonald's on today's agenda, and they'll all be heard by council at the same time.
Council concern.
It wasn't necessarily the uses on those as much as that one use at that McDonald's at Shore and Little Creek. It's currently empty. They vacated it without any notice, and it's kind of been an issue for, according to the council member, some vagrancy and some graffiti. So just trying to get a better control of the property, of kind of taking care of it, as well as hopefully releasing it so that other users can use it. They have some very tight restrictive covenants that don't allow similar uses, and so they want to at least start a conversation and see where they can go. Mr. Bazaar on Baby Boulevard, the one that was requesting smoking products, was also continued. Council members wanted them to complete some of the work that they were working on the building, as well as the verge before they vote on it. And then also, Play Me Please was also continued for further discussion, and 810 West Ocean View Avenue, that's a duplex with the 12 units in front, then they were only asking for the duplex in the rear. That was also continued to allow for more discussion with the board specifically. I don't have an exact reason why. Council continued it. I believe it's for additional conversation with the community, but I do need to try to run that down a little bit. So it was just continued by council. It was continued to a date certain, so it was continued to June 10th. It wasn't continued generally. In addition to that, as you know, the comprehensive plan meetings will be starting before we meet again in the Planning Commission at the mid-month hearing. So if the commissioners are available, we'd love to have you at those public meetings. They are open house style. I know there was concern by some folks saying we're starting at 5 and it's ending at 7. It feels like that we're going to leave some people out. It's a drop-in style where you can come and get any information that you want, and we'll have staff available to answer questions. No one's going to miss anything if they show up at 6:30. Staff will still be there to answer questions and walk people through the plan, and so that they can understand it. In addition to that, tomorrow, by close of business in your Dropbox, you should have available to you the draft plan that we want to give to the commission for a week before we make it open to the public to read. So you'll have that available to you. Most of the work that you've done over the last few months, all of that is reflected in the current draft. So we'd love any additional input or comments that you have. This is the commission's plan. We've been taking all your input and comments to turn it into where we're at this point. And so, again, that should go by close of business on Friday into your Dropbox. Please take an opportunity to read it, and then we will release it to the public the following Friday, which will be a few days before our first meeting, which is June 2nd. Don't have them. Paul, do you have them in front of you? Email and send out that before I'll shoot it over to you. It has 2 Tuesdays and 2 Wednesdays or something. Yeah, I didn't get there yet. That turned into a very big kind of discussion about what goes on the calendar and then how do we put it in there. So the first one is on June 2nd. June 3rd, I'm sorry.
June 3rd, there's a 2 to 4 at Jordan Navy. That's for the advisory committee. So if you wanted to come then, that's fine, but it's for the advisory committee to get a little preview. That same night at 5, also at Jordan Navy, is the first real public workshop. Then the second one is Thursday the 5th at 5 p.m. at the Boys and Girls Club in Berkeley. Then the following week, it is at the 11th, Wednesday the 11th at Pretlow at 5 p.m. That one, whenever we have anything at Pretlow, people just always come. So, that'll be if you want to see some activity, I'm sure you'll see it there. Then the final one is the following Wednesday, the 18th, and that's at the Y on Granby in Park Place at 5 p.m.
The engagement, well, the 25th engagement committee too, got service with you guys there mid-month. You're welcome to come out. It's from 11 to 4. Just pop in. You don't have to be there for the entire time. It's going to be set up at Harbor Fest. I'll share with you the location. Felt like that was a good place. We'll have lots of community, lots of folks from out of area as well, possibly. They can provide some input. And then throughout July, we'll be doing pop-ups as well. We're going to Cova at the Donut Truck Wednesday morning on July 1st. So we got a captive audience of people. So if you've got ideas of places where we could do a pop-up where we got captive audience to get some feedback on the plan, that would be great. So, anything else?
Along with that, we do, if there are any requests for us to do additional pop-up meetings or anything else like that, we do have a group of people that are kind of being ambassadors to help us do that. And so as part of that also, we'll be having the plan in, I think some of the libraries, actual printed copies, so if anyone wanted to thumb through it and provide us comments, they have an opportunity to do that, not just so that we can make sure that we're sharing it far and wide, not just digitally, which I think is easier for most, but some people, if they happen to need to have a paper copy, we'll have it available for people to look at as well. We're I don't want to say crashing to the end, but we are working towards trying to have good policies moving forward that represents the Commission's and hopefully the Council's vision as well for the city moving into 2015. And that's all.
Oh, I did want to ask a question. Is there any information you can share about the commission that the mayor is putting together around housing and how that might impact what we've put into our plan so far as housing?
I don't have much to share at the moment. All I know is that I have been told that I will be part of staff that will be helping support it, supporting the Department of Housing and Community Development with it. Past that, we haven't had much discussion about the formation and the discussion of the group. I believe the work that has been done by the Commission through our public process has received public comment and reflects kind of what we've heard and what we believe is the right direction. I think hopefully that information we will share that information with the Commission so that we don't have to redo work as far as the public outreach. So we will try our best to share that. We don't believe it should steer us in any direction, but we will know if it does. Okay. Thank you. One additional item, Mr. Chair. The third week in July is the APA Virginia Conference, which will be in Portsmouth. At the Renaissance Hotel. Commissioners, if you can, the city does have training budget to cover your costs to attend the conference. So please, we ask you sign up, and then we'll have forms, travel forms, and other things for you to sign and take care of, and then we will have you reimbursed for the conference. We want you to do the sign up, that way you receive all the emails, and they don't get hidden somewhere where we have it. And try to share it with you. So we will get the necessary travel authorization forms and other things as required by the city, have it ready for the Commission to sign on. And when it becomes available, please sign up if you plan on attending.
Could you push that to us to click?
We will do that. We thought it was open already, but it's still not open yet. So.
Okay. And just for those that haven't been to one of these, I think when it was in Williamsburg last year, 24, I think we were 100% represented, or largely 100% represented at that, and it gave us an opportunity to also spend time together and ask questions and really learn from these sessions. And they actually have a certified planning commissioner program that would encourage you to also look at as part of that spin-off of that. I don't know what the cohorts of those look like, and there's a few of you I think are ready to maybe take that on if you haven't already. Great.
That's all I have, sir.
Okay. Any comments from commissioners? We've got plenty of time. Congratulate staff. Planning and EDA for the C or not CEP. It was about 10 or 15 businesses or individuals that showed up outside of staff. A lot of good information, a lot of clarity on the process itself, especially the misconception that Norfolk is difficult to work with. Like it's a clean process, and we have to keep it in place to
and instead of maybe doing it, development has other meetings with kind of throughout the city and smaller, not just for this. So kind of, as Bob said, embedding ourselves into those meetings to get the same presentation. So it's not just once a year.
And was this just on the CUP process? What about for like STRs? Did you have any representatives for STRs?
So we try to keep it, the presentation more broad, but then we sit around after to answer any questions people have. Because we get a lot of restaurants and we get a lot of different things, so we try not to focus on one particular thing.
Were there any STR?
The initial one last year, there were a few short-term rental operators that came, but this one was mostly restaurants, I'd say. There was a couple interesting ones that need a lot of extra entitlement processes, like development certificates and all kinds of other things, but for the most part, they were restaurants.
I think the STR community is helping with the communication of this process. So now that there's the five in the Norfolk area is helping to communicate with different new owners that are interested in the process. So that's good. Any other comments? Yeah, go ahead. So the coastal storm risk management we presented to ARB Monday? Is it past Monday? Yes. Thursday already. Informative, I guess they're starting the community, they've been starting community outreach. So I guess if you're not aware, they have a website, resilientnorfolk.com. They want updates on the different phases. I think there's like 6 different phases, but it's like they're in phase 1A and 1B. That's at the focus point right now. And then they'll work the other ones in along the way. So they present to the council.
Council today, and they will be presenting to the commission at the mid-month meeting in June to ensure that you're up to date.
Front page of the paper. Yes. They're making it around. Yes. Any other commission updates? I don't know if it's like the art commission, any other, who's on that?
The Art Commission had their interviews for the last 4 days, week and a half, making decisions on how they're going to allocate their funds. I was not present, so I can't give you any update on that, but he interviewed all of the applicants.
All right, we are adjourned. I'll see you upstairs at 2:30.